We live in an environment saturated with anxiety. Every day, screens broadcast a new existential threat, keeping us in a state of high alert about events that haven't even happened yet. This shared, internalized reality is the world stage. It's the consensus worldview delivered and maintained by mainstream mediation, giving everyone a baseline agreement on which major events are occurring. If you distrust that official narrative, you likely turn to alternative media. However, this space is rarely an actual rebellion. It functions as a controlled duopoly, keeping viewers corralled within the same overarching system. Think of alternative media as mainstream plus. These platforms add sensational, underlying premise that the televised event occurred. Because of this dynamic, both mainstream viewers and conspiracy theorists remain trapped within the same architecture, spending their energy arguing over the specific details of a shared fiction. What happens if we stop asking who orchestrated the event and start asking if the event actually happened at all? This requires adopting an MSM- perspective. Instead of adding complex theories to a televised spectacle, you subtract the built-in assumption that a broadcast is real simply because it was televised. The sociologist Jean Baudrillard identified this condition as hyperreality. Hyperreality is a state where physical experiences and artificial media representations have been so thoroughly blended that the public can no longer distinguish between the two. Escaping this constant cycle of dread requires evaluating untestable global news as a carefully produced script. The mechanics of history bending reveal a system that proactively manufactures historical records. This chart shows the process. The solid black line is our verifiable reality. The parallel blue line represents scripted psychological operations. Phase 1 begins in the future. Through predictive programming, the media ecosystem seeds the public imagination with scenarios years before a staged event occurs. Movies, television shows, and video games systematically introduce character archetypes and geopolitical conflicts, making these concepts feel familiar and inevitable to the masses. For example, a major theatrical release might package specific ideological and social narratives exactly when those issues are scheduled to dominate the national conversation. Long before a psychological operation becomes breaking news, the emotional impact and narrative justification have already been fully installed into the public imagination. Phase 2 is the present. The fictional script drops down and forcibly merges into the real-world news cycle. These staged spectacles account for a tiny percentage of total news, but their highly concentrated nature drowns out everything else, capturing public attention and dictating mass behavior. This collision is often accompanied by concurrent programming, which is when the entertainment ecosystem releases fictional content that perfectly mirrors the real-time news on the exact day an event occurs. Consider the day a highly publicized theft of crown jewels from jewels made international headlines, coinciding perfectly with the release of a hit streaming series about a master thief operating in that exact same museum. Finally, we enter Phase 3, the past. This is the reinforcement stage, where the media echo chamber relentlessly debates the motivations of an event, but never its authenticity. Because the media ecosystem refuses to question whether the event was authentic to begin with, the theatrical production solidifies into a permanent fixture of our historical record. Through this merging of timelines, the curators of the world stage transform temporary media spectacles into the permanent foundation of our consensus worldview. The ultimate motive behind this elaborate architecture is a mind war, an operation specifically designed to steal your cognitive bandwidth. By constantly deploying hypothetical threats, the system forces the public into a perpetual, polarized state of fight-or-flight dependency. To maintain this state, the media utilizes extreme personalities and highly visible billionaires to act as lightning rods, triggering systemic paranoia across the political spectrum. The most effective defense mechanism is to adopt the mindset of the unconfused. This means explicitly treating all untestable media spectacles as fake until proven real. When you step away from the broadcast, you find a tangible, peaceful reality right in front of you, one where the sky is blue, the grass is green, and the constant barrage of crises does not exist. We cannot turn off the global broadcast for everyone else. However, recognizing the systemic fakery strips the architects of their power, sets us free from the fear cycle, and reclaims our minds.